Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at Tualatin Valley Water District's Talking Water episode today. My name is Andrea Watson, and I'm the district's Communication and Public Affairs Supervisor. Before we get started, we'll do a little bit of intro on how the controls work. We are a public agency, and these sessions are recorded. Please make sure your microphone is muted if you're not speaking. And we will be able to see you if you have your camera on, as well as call on you to answer any questions you may have after we're done with the brief presentation. The controls are, there's reactions, and then there's also a chat. If you have questions you want to type in, you can use that chat feature, which looks like a little thought bubble. And then you can also use your emoji reactions there to raise your hand. And just as a note, we do have a non-discrimination and non-harassment policy. So we do ask that the interactions stay free of those kind of things, be inclusive and respectful. We do our best not to talk over each other, but that does happen in this virtual environment. So just be patient with us. And then this session will be available on YouTube. It's streaming live now, and then it also will be available for review later after the episode. So today we have some special guests and presentations for you. Paul Matthews, the Chief Financial Officer, he will be acting as our host. We also have Commissioner Jim Duggan. He joined the board in 1993, so he's our most tenured board member. So he'll talk a little bit about what it's like to be on the board. And then I already introduced myself. We also have Commissioner Jim Doan with us. He also has a lot of experience, and he joined the board in 1998. And he also was the board liaison to the Rate Advisory Committee. So hopefully he'll be willing to share some of his experiences. And we also have invited guests from our budget committee. So if any of you have joined us, I'll scroll through here and be able to call on you, but also raise your hand if you'd like to contribute when we get done talking about the role of the budget committee, to talk about your own experience, what the time it's taken, and maybe what the benefits to you have been for serving your community in one of these engagement opportunities that we're going to go over today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Matthews, our host and Chief Financial Officer.
Sorry, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our Talkin' Water series. The district does have a need for volunteers to help govern the district, and we want to talk about three opportunities in particular that we have. And we'll take them each separately, but we are looking for volunteers for our Rate Advisory Committee. This would be the second time that we've convened a Rate Advisory Committee, and that committee has been asked by the board to look at some specific things having to do with the affordability, how to design rates for the low-income customers, and to look at some of their aspects of our rate design. Our budget committee, we also have at least one vacancy on our budget committee. This is the citizens part of the budget committee, which is comprised of both the board members and 5 appointed members. And then last is the board of commissioners. So we'll take each of these in turn. I'm going to start first with the Board of Commissioners, and as Andrea mentioned, we actually have 2 commissioners with us on this meeting today, including Commissioner Jim Duggan and Commissioner Jim Doan. So I will ask, after I cover this material, for Commissioner Duggan to give some of his reflections on participating as a member of the Board of Commissioners. So we are seeking to fill a vacancy of position 1. The incumbent in position 1 has tendered her resignation effective actually tomorrow. So we don't have a vacancy now, but we will have one tomorrow. Our commissioners serve on a 5-member board, and they are the governing body of the district. They are the ones that set the policies and direct the management to achieve the goals of the district. To serve, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must reside in the TVWD service area for at least 6 months. Be qualified elector. That's a registered voter, 18 years or older. Commissioners cannot currently be an employee of the district, and you have to have an interest to serve the remainder of the term, which this term would expire June 30 of 2023. The last item, the commissioners really are a critical part of TVWD's governance. The commissioners will review the applications. They will fill the vacant position. The remaining 4 commissioners will. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Commissioner Duggan just to let Jim relay some of his experience as a commissioner and take it from here.
Thank you, Paul. I'm Jim Duggan. I've been on the board for a very long time, and I've chosen to be a board member and to apply each time election season comes up for my position, because I really think we have a fantastic water district. We take it for granted. I know I do as a customer, that every time I go into turn on a faucet or flush a toilet, that there will be water there. And to have that fact, there is a lot of work that goes in to making sure that we can take good, reliable water for granted. I've been on the commission now for 29 years, and we've done a lot in those 29 years, and we still are doing great things. We're building a brand new water supply system for the region, even though the primary beneficiaries are going to be the city of Beaverton, city of Hillsborough, and the Tualatin Valley Water District. We are building it as part of a regional system that will be the envy of the world when it's completed. A very reliable, multi-source system that can serve the entire metropolitan area, and those water agencies that are part of our emergency planning network, that have interties. So there's a lot still to be done, and that's why I've chosen to be a commissioner. Some months it can be just 3 meetings during that month, and sometimes as few as 1 or 2. They usually are held in the evenings. Our regular board meeting is this evening. It's held on the 3rd Wednesday of every month. We also have a workshop that the board attends, that's held the first Tuesday of each month. Unless there's a reason to cancel it, like this month, we canceled it because of the 4th of July holiday being right there in proximity to it. So in some months, though, I can have as many as 6 or 7 meetings that can take 1 to 2 hours. And that's been kind of the usual for these past couple of years, where we're building the Willamette water supply system. So that's just a brief introduction to what it's like to be on the board. We consider policy. We don't get down into the weeds. We look at the big issues and let the professionals take over with that general policy direction. So that's a quick summary. I'll hand it over now to Andrea for more on this presentation. Thanks.
And Paul, would you advance the slides? I think I only have a couple, so I think we'll be
Yeah,
okay. If we just
I will
take
do that.
them.
I was just, do we want to take questions on the way about the board
Yeah.
position?
Sure. Yeah. People have questions about the board, raise your hand or unmute yourself. Probably best to raise your hand so we don't all unmute at the same time. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, but if you think of something, hang around till the end. We'll definitely answer all the questions you have. We also have a tradition in Talking Water where we're willing to take questions.
Andrea, we
Yep,
do
I
have one
see.
question.
Yep, I see it. Okay, Donald, Alexander.
Yes, good afternoon. Just a question for Jim. Could you describe some of the activities and things that you discuss in the board meetings? I mean, I don't have a good feel for what that looks like. Is it?
I don't know.
You talk about policy, but
It's a meeting. It's not
Yeah,
like a web.
we talk a lot about what our rates are going to be, what sort of options there may be that staff present us with in terms of having agreements with our fellow water providers or other governmental agencies.
As we take a look at this extreme heat. Yeah, I mean, we've got so much hot weather just sitting over the center.
We also talk about what planning we have to do in case there is a reduction in water supply. That little news brief that was shared talked about some of the things that we have to look forward to. In cases of drought, there might be a need to go to odd even watering days and things like that. So those type of procedures and policies the board reviews and sets up so that staff has clear direction when something unusual happens that we need to take quick action on. So I hope that covers the question.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for participating. If you could take your hand down now, just so we know if you have a new question, that'd be great. And if there are any other questions about the board position, give you a chance to warm up here. Okay, we will come back to it at the end. We'll open it up. And as I was saying, we do have a tradition. You can ask us anything. We have a lot of subject matter experts on the call, so hopefully we'll be able to answer it, even if it veers from these topics that we're covering today. So the Rate Advisory Committee, as Paul mentioned earlier, it's a limited duration committee. It's appointed by the board, and they generally have done this. This is the second time for this particular topic. The last time was in 2016. This time, the charter for this committee calls for them to meet 4 or 5 times for up to 2 hours in length for each meeting. There'd probably also be some material to review, maybe some articles to read or some reports and studies to look at, maybe some data about our current programming. The scope for this rate advisory committee is on 2 topics. One is on rate design, which is going to be really focusing on the mix of our charges between the fixed portion of the charges and the variable portion of the charges, which are based on your water consumption. And then at the end of these 4 or 5 meetings, the charge of the committee is to reach consensus on recommendations and present those to the board either at the end of 2022 or in January of 2023. So the board can consider any program changes or rate design changes in advance of the next biennial budget cycle. What's needed to apply? This one's a little bit broader. There isn't a residency requirement. You can live in the service area, you can work in the service area, or work for an agency that serves our customers. On this one, there are some experts in customer assistance that work for agencies. For example, Community Action of Washington County, they administer our current assistance programming. So we would consider those people to be qualified experts to serve as well, whether they live in the district or not. We're taking up to 21 volunteers for this. And the board did ask that we have an additional criteria to consider gender, age, or cultural diversity. Just, as we move through time, working towards having our customer involvement match the makeup of our community. And no offense to the commissioners present, but we do have a aging board and also, tend to be engineers and very professional people. That's great. In this particular case for the Rate Advisory Committee, we'd love to hear from customers who maybe struggled to pay their bill so that they can firsthand tell their story about what kind of rate assistance might be needed. So they are looking for a diverse group there. And I'm going to stop here about the Rate Advisory Committee. I didn't work here in 2016 when they last had it. I know Commissioner Doan, who's on the call, was the board liaison, so he might have something to add. No pressure there. You don't have to, Commissioner Doan, but if you do want to talk about what it's like to be on that committee, we'd love to hear from you, or if you have questions before we move on to the budget committee opportunity.
Sure, I'll ad lib here a bit. We met several times. I can say that the budget committee had a very different perspective from the board. And we were able to incorporate what the Rate Advisory Committee had. The board was very concerned about issues that the Rate Advisory Committee wasn't concerned about. And the Rate Advisory Committee was concerned about things that the board wasn't concerned about. So we came together in harmony, and I think it was very beneficial. And I learned a lot, and I hope that the people on the rate advisory committee learned a lot. But we ended up with a report that the board accepted, and the rates were set back in 2017 based on what the rate advisory committee had provided. And so I think it was very beneficial both to the people who participated and to the board. I thought it was very, very helpful.
So it is an opportunity to help your community in terms of shaping the assistance programming, but also to help the board, make some pretty weighty decisions. Any questions about the rate advisory committee? Okay, Paul Griffo, would you like to unmute and ask away?
Yes, I took a look at the committee paper that was online. Thank you very much for putting that online. When you guys met last time, there were 13 committee members, and now you're looking for 21. I'm just more curious than anything else, the number that you're looking for. So thank you.
Okay, I'll tackle that. Or do you want to tackle Paul? I think my view was
I could talk about the past.
Yeah, okay.
So why
But
don't
I
I talk
think-
about the past?
yeah.
And then I'll hand it to you to talk about the future, if that's okay, Andrea. So we actually started off with a request for nearly 20 people. In the initial, when we convened the rate advisory committee back in 2016 and it met in 2017, we did have this idea of having about 21 people. The reason for that number back then was first, there is some attrition, people will join, and then for a variety of reasons, they won't be able to stay on. And we wanted to make sure that we had a broad cross section of the community. So that was the idea. We ended with 13, but we started closer to 20. Andrew, do you want to take it from
Yeah,
there?
that was what I was going to say, is that we looked at categories. We wanted a variety of customers and also representatives. So we have like a chamber member from the Washington County Chamber. But we know if we start out with 21, hopefully we'll get to about 15 that will actually attend any given session. But when we really looked at those categories, we tried to look at the district in zones, and we wanted to have at least one actual residential customer from each of those geographic areas. And then also industrial, manufacturing, just to kind of have a representation. We're still looking for a member from an HOA or a project developer. Those are different kinds of customers that the district serves, and we wanted them to have a voice at this table too. But so far, I think we're right around 17 applications as of noon yesterday. So we still can take some more. And then also the meetings where they're given the information and they're talking about these topics, they'll be broken into chunks for each meeting. Those will also be available for anyone who wants to just watch, to not be a full-on participant, not charged with the responsibility of coming to a consensus, but just getting the information and being able to see the technical information that's shared and kind of the vibe that the group, where their struggles are. That will be opened up, and we'll be advertising those similar to how we advertise this. Hey, if you want to come to this meeting, join with this link and you can watch. So it'll be a little bit different than before, because in the past, these meetings were all live in person. We didn't have the technology that we have available to us now, but we're going to take advantage of that and try to get more customers, even just informed, because I joined the district 5 years ago, and it is a pretty complicated water rates. All of these things are pretty technical, and it takes a little bit to get some grounding. And so we want to use these engagement opportunities as a way to bring more customers into the conversation and more customers to have access to this technical information.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Any other questions about the rate advisory committee before we turn it back to Paul to do the budget committee? Okay, it looks like we don't have any, but we'll do a wrap up at the end if any questions come to you between now and then.
Thank you, Andrea. So the budget committee is a very important part of the financial management of the district. It works hand in hand with the Board of Commissioners to approve the district's budget. So under Oregon local budget law, the budget committee consists of the 5 elected members of the Board of Commissioners and 5 appointed citizens. And the process that we go through with the budget committee is management prepares what's called a proposed budget. We present it to the budget committee. They deliberate on that, and then they then approve a budget, which then goes to the board for final adoption. So it's part of that 3-phase process under Oregon local budget law. But we also keep the budget committee informed throughout the year as to the district's financial situations and regular communications so they can understand and have the context, the broader context of what's going on with the district. A couple things to keep in mind about the budget committee too. First of all, they are 5 appointed members. They serve 4-year terms. They're overlapped so that not all of them expire at the same time. The applicants are interviewed by a subcommittee of the Board of Commissioners, and the entire Board of Commissioners then votes to select and appoint the members of the Budget Committee. To apply, you must reside within TVWD's corporate boundaries. So you must be within the district's service area and within the district itself in order to be a budget committee. It's the same as being one of the elected commissioners. You need to live in the district, not just simply work in the district or have property here. The budget committee also is a great opportunity. Many of our board members have actually come from the budget committee. It's a great way for them to get to understand the district, its operations. We spend quite a bit of time through the budget process. We typically, prior to COVID, we would have a tour that we would take the budget committee on to show the capital investments, capital projects that we were building. So they would have an idea of what it is that the district is doing. And we would present a lot of information about the district's financial situation so they would understand that. So it's a real opportunity to get an in-depth understanding of the district. And it has been great preparation for members who have then joined the Board of Commissioners from the Budget Committee. Both Commissioners Duggan and Commissioner Doan have worked with the Budget Committee as the elected officials. So I'd like to ask either of you if you have anything you'd like to add just to describe the Budget Committee process and how it's used by the Board of Commissioners and serves the district.
I guess I could briefly say that the Budget Committee is very vital to us establishing priorities for our capital improvement program, for looking at where we're going to be spending our money for the next biennium, and then how that ties into long-range plans that go beyond the scope of the 2-year budget. So getting that input from the Budget Committee is very important. It helps when there are more eyes looking at a document, and it results in a better product in the end. And the Budget Committee meets in the springtime of every odd-numbered year, and it's a great service to provide to the committee, especially if you have any financial or business background. It's very helpful. So, thank you.
Any questions about the Budget Committee? Commissioner Doan, did you want to add anything or about the Budget Committee? I don't want to put you on the spot, but. Okay, no questions on the Budget Committee. Andrea, I think I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, we appreciate your time. We'll stay on for any questions, but we did also want to mention that we would love to have you consider engaging with us in one of these 3 ways. But if this doesn't end up being the fit for you, we also, as I mentioned before, are encouraging our customers to listen in and learn through the RAC process. We'll be promoting those dates via email, a similar way that you learned about this event. There also will be 3 water rate informational sessions. The board will be considering that topic this evening, which includes an outreach plan. But whenever there's a rate increase, we always do an open house. 2 of them will be virtual, 1 in person, where you can learn more about any changes that are proposed to the rates and what the drivers of that are, but also, ask any questions you have of your water district. We very much see this as it's your system. We're just managing it for you. So the more interest and questions you have, that's really good for us to know that people aren't taking it for granted, as it's so easy to do. And then also there are the board meetings that were mentioned, Commissioner Duggan and Commissioner Doan. There's a work session generally, and then a regular meeting once a month. There is some variation in that, but for the most part, we try to keep to that schedule as long as we have topics to discuss. And any customers or any public members are welcome to attend those. So, there's a softer way to get involved. Oh, look at this, surprise, sorry about the pictures. It's your turn, Paul, you get to be double. We accidentally left you out, Commissioner Duggan, my apologies for that. But hey, you can see him on camera, can wave. And we just open it up. If you have any questions at all, it doesn't have to be about these engagement topics. It can be about anything about your water system. If we can't answer it here with the subject matter experts today, we will follow up and get in touch with you. Anyone?
Oh, sure. Hi. Good
Hi.
afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Pete Parmentier, and I do reside in the district. I am interested in a couple of the possibilities. What I was going to ask, and I probably should reread the email, is the application itself is actually in that email.
Frank, do you want to jump in there? You crafted the email and I just took a couple of days off, so that's kind of rusty.
Yeah, so the application itself, we did not include in the email, but it is online if you just go to tvwd.org. And
Perfect.
then we will also post them under our Talkin www.tvwd.org. Excuse me, hiccuped at the same time, /talking water. So we'll have a little section just for this particular one, and we'll list the applications there as well.
You got
So
it.
how it is right now is it's scrolling on the top of our webpage. There's a little arrows, a caret on both sides. If you click that, it'll toggle between the board and the rate advisory committee. The budget committee opening isn't being advertised and recruited for now. We just know that there's going to be one because our budget committee member, Carl Fisher, was recently appointed to the Board of Commissioners. So that vacancy is going to be there. And, as the season unfolds, there may be additional openings. It's really up to the volunteer how long they want to stick with that. So maybe, Paul, if you know exactly when they might expect that, if it'd be a month or 2 from now, but that one's not up there yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is to get the district's finance committee, which is a subcommittee of the board. The board is going to consider tonight the appointment of officers and committee members. And once we have that, we'll take it to the finance committee and come up with a process to select budget committee member vacancies. Again, these are board actions. Management, we facilitate it, but we work under the direction of the board in these areas.
That's perfect. I appreciate that. And in the meantime, I'll also do some due diligence on my side. I may have to clear with our corporate legal whether there may be a conflict of interest. I don't think there will be, but I just want to confirm. Thank you.
We're not able to hear you right now, Andrea.
I should think after 2 years, we'd have that moved down. I apologize. But if there are any other questions or comments, we'd be happy to stay on with you. Otherwise, we just want to thank you for your time. This last slide has our district recorder's email and telephone number, Debbie Carper. She's a great contact for asking any questions about any of these opportunities. And she can be reached at 848-3014 or debbie.carper@tvwd.org. I'm just repeating that because there's some people on the phone, so they're not seeing the slides.
And I thought I saw a hand go up a bit earlier, and so if somebody raised their hand, we are not seeing it up right now, but we're more than happy to stay on and answer questions.
Hey, well, all right, Chris, we'd love to hear from you.
So the application for the open board position is going to be posted, is that correct? Or is it the budget that is going to be posted?
The budget one will come soon. The rate
Okay.
advisory and the board are up now.
Okay.
And they're
Just-
going to recruit for the board through the end of the month. They're going to make the first round of appointments to the RAC tonight, but we still have vacancies on that. So we're suggesting to the board that they keep the RAC application open until we get to the 21.
Okay. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Thank you for joining. We appreciate it, Chris. I know we appreciate you, Mr. Brown. You've been to a number of our events and we appreciate you coming to this.
Well, if there are no further questions from our elected officials, are there any closing remarks that either of the two of you would like to make before we sign off?
This is Commissioner Duggan. I just want to thank those people that took the time today to join us. These openings that we have, we would love to see a good cross-section of our district represented so that we can continue to make the most informed decisions and serve the community the best. So thank you for joining us today.
This is Commissioner Doan. It's hard to say Commissioner Doan, but anyway, I just want to point out that the last time we had a rate advisory committee, they came up with ideas that were very important to the community and ideas that the Board of Commissioners deal with water issues all the time, and we had just missed all these opportunities that the people on the rate advisory committee thought were important. So, you know, if you even have the slightest idea that you want to serve, we would really like to have you because, again, we're so close to this that we may not be able to see all that's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your service, both Commissioner Doan and Commissioner Duggan. We appreciate the service you've provided so far, and hopefully someone from this call is going to take the challenge and join us. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Good afternoon.
Thank you all.